Hello, everyone. Hello, Telling Tales here, your friendly neighborhood. I don't know, tellers of tales. I guess that's sort of what we do. Um, Normally, mostly what we do is actual play stuff, but tonight we thought we'd try something a little bit different, something a bit more community minded. Even though normally we spend our time telling everyone how much we hate the community, now we thought we might give a little bit back. And there's a context for this, obviously, and we are brazenly wearing it on our sleeve. But what we're going to be doing tonight is looking at some of the campaigns currently on Kickstarter for tabletop role-playing stuff that caught our eye, specifically those involved with the ZineQuest open call promo system, whatever you want to call it, that Kickstarter does, which is a thing whereby there's a special hashtag and extra promotion and stuff if what you're promoting and what you're launching in the month of February is a tabletop role-playing zine, right? That's the thing. That's the thing of it. And essentially, one of the reasons we're doing this, and one of the reasons that ZineQuest has been on our radar so much, is because we launched a Kickstarter campaign. So we have no problem with nakedly promoting this as a course of fact on this. But this stream is not going to be about that. But I will mention, if you do want to take a look at our campaign, that's it there. If you Google the soft TTRPG, it's a setting thing for Troika, set in a vast claustrophobic, weird, cosmic horror-y pillow fort. And if that seems like your kind of thing, check out the campaign. But that's not what we're here to do. What we're here to do is to take a look at other people's campaigns. And what we've done, myself and Steve and Chris, who, as regular viewers will know, are people who appear on the screen on our streams, we are going to go through 2 campaigns each that we picked out. Not in exhaustive detail, but we're going to be putting them in front of the other people and saying, hey, what do you think of this? I think it's good. And that's the rough plan, basically. And hopefully you'll watch this, back them all, and then get into tremendous debt. Because that is the goal of anyone who is a TTRPG content creator, is to make you spend all your money on TTRPGs. So that's it. That's how we're going. So shall I kick off with my first pick of these things?
Seems reasonable.
Absolutely. Okay, here we go. Here is my first pick. My first pick is from the creator Randy Lubin, who I believe has been involved with a bunch of other sort of things, diegetic games, leveraged play, story synth. And the project is called Behind the Magic, a fantasy mockumentary game. And the elevator pitch of it here is play as incompetent heroes on a quest to save the world, and as the bard who's along to document the journey. Now, if that hasn't immediately sold this to you, well, I'm not sure we can be friends. I will say that. But yeah, what a great idea. There is more detail about it. I think it's something that's been played at cons and stuff a fair bit, because it's listed as kind of finally coming to print. So and mention is made further along of it being a con game type thing. In Behind the Magic, you'll create a fantasy mockumentary by playing a group of incompetent adventurers on a quest to save the world. During the game, players take turns setting up and acting out scenes in character. These scenes are interspersed with reality television-style confessionals with the bard who is documenting their journey. The rules are written for embodied play, walking around the room in character, basically LARPing. But there are also variant rules for playing it at the table or over video chat. There's 30 minutes of setup where you select a quest, build a setting, and create characters. Then you spend 60 to 90 minutes playing out the adventure and seeing if the heroes succeed, or at least don't make things worse. It describes itself as a kind of structured improv without an audience, although clearly it has had an audience. It's printed zine, 24 pages long, sort of fairly standard size and stuff. I also do really like the sorry, I've got a meowing cat behind me. I also really do like this lovely simple art, which people will just go, that's just because it's cute, Matt, and you don't have many cute things. It does remind me of the Land of Eme art a little bit, which I'm also a fan of. So there we go.
In fairness, that is because it's cute, Matt.
Yes, yes. One of the reasons this jumped out at me is because over the last 12 months or so, I've watched a hell of a lot of What We Do in the Shadows. And this immediately struck me as a kind of fantasy sort of version of that. You know what I mean? So that's something that that jumped out at me for it. Yeah. Thoughts? Would you play Behind the Magic?
What's the hook? Because where does the mockumentary come in?
Well, it's the idea that this bard is like along for the ride, and that it has like reality television style confessionals with them.
Oh,
so I think the idea is like you play out scenes, but then after the scenes, you have like the bard basically kind of like interviewing people.
I like that kind of asymmetrical, almost Forged in the Dark style. We break from the sequential play and kind of look back on it. Yeah, I think that could work really well.
Yeah, I think this is something that could work really well on stream, and on video chat, because you could literally set it up to be like a talking head confessional.
Yeah,
where you just have the person being interviewed, just entire full screen, and then just the voice of the bard. You know, like, so why did you think that you should set the roof on fire? Sort of thing. You could even do it like, I don't know, a weird thing. So you could have like the video chat set up so it's like a darkened room, you know, and you can just kind of see the shadow of the figure. Or is that too kind of 1980s documentary about awful things? I don't know. Yeah.
I'm immediately thinking of. I'm immediately thinking of the obviously this has links with ours. The second Pillow Fort episode of Community.
Yeah. Like a mock, almost like a mock Civil War documentary.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, that's interesting. That could work really well. I guess my only question would be if it ends up being kind of too what's the word? Like if the bard sort of features too heavily in it all. I mean, I guess that might work for some setups.
But then you could almost look at the bard as a kind of, in a way, a kind of substitute GM, sort of stringing things together, sort of Sammy on the fly, right?
And there's always a possibility for sort of, you know, other people in the party to be talking about the bard behind the back potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. Sort of our like wizardly film crew caught this theme of them complaining about the bard, sort of thing.
I feel that this works particularly well with kind of more traditional murder hobo / beer and pretzels D&D groups, where this would be a really good kind of lens to kind of turn back upon them, and then just go, look, this is what you were doing. It really was ridiculous.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, just play as normal, guys. Like, and we'll highlight your incompetence later for the amusement of everyone else.
Huge charge sheets from wrecking the village.
Yeah. I also really wanted to highlight just this caption, which I found adorable, of this halfling has a pack full of printed zines for this image. Although why someone has shot the printed zines with arrows, perhaps betraying a certain lack of confidence in your product. No,
it's rival creators, clearly.
Clearly, although not the likes of Jason Morningstar, that they have a kind of adoring quote from. What a person to have in your Kickstarter campaign, right? So yeah, that's Behind the Magic. That's a thing that I saw that I thought was good. And yeah, like I say, I watched a lot of What We Do in the Shadows recently. And this just tickled my buttons in that kind of direction. Don't think too much about my phrasing. So
trying not to.
Yeah, I wouldn't. So yeah, check it out, folks. See if that is of interest to you. Steve, do we want to move on to your first one?
Sure.
Suddenly realised I didn't tell you which ones we were doing in what order. So I'm just going to share the tab and surprise you.
Cool.
There we go.
Yes. So I mean, I've been having a look through quite a few of them, the ZineQuest offerings this year, but several have caught my eye. But this one I decided to go with first, mainly because I just love the striking art. The cover of the thing is just it looks really great, striking, and I love the texture of the image in the background there, and it reminds me very much of, obviously we've done Blaze in the Dark, and so this is a game. It's the authors are and I apologize if I mangle the names here, Ash Schroyer and Elliot Wren Phillips, and layout and illustration has been done by Sam Malabra. Sorry. The system is powered by the Apocalypse, also based on one I haven't heard of, which is Armor Austere. But the idea basically is that it's a game about revolution or rebellion. Your characters are wanting to overthrow the crown, whatever that is, and you can essentially decide between yourselves what sort of system you're trying to overthrow, and whether for good reasons or ill. So it's a gothic world. It's rife with subterfuge and spellcasting. Yes, and it's you against the evil crown. But the thing that got me, the sort of the hook that elevated this a bit, is the it's kind of done in phases, a bit like Blades in the Dark, but there's a play the turncoat phase. So you have your missions and your downtime, but in between those you have villain turns, which allows you as the players to invent your own villains that you end up fighting against, but you play them for a turn. So there's a nice sort of, I like that sort of collaborative potential. We've had a lot of fun with that in Wicked Ones. So yes, it's kind of hitting the notes of sort of Wicked Ones, Blades in the Dark, and Spire as well, which I sort of read but hadn't quite hadn't quite got into.
No, yeah, it looks really cool. I really like the art, like you said. And don't we all want to, just, fight against the crown? No, yeah, that sounds really cool. I'm
generally a big fan.
I love it.
I'm generally a big fan of the Powered by the Apocalypse system because it's kind of very question based. Like the GM's encouraged to kind of ask the players how they achieve something and how that works, and allow them agency over the environment a lot more. So I think that kind of mix between that and the kind of Forged in the Dark non-sequential mechanisms is gonna really pop.
Yes. Yeah. So it just, because it's I guess a smaller publication, it might be a little bit easier to get into than Blades in the Dark or Spire, maybe. But certainly, I'll be keeping an eye on it, and yeah, that one looks good.
Yeah, it's just the account creating it is just Guillotine TTRPG, but yeah, like you say, it has full credits later on.
Yes.
I still haven't actually ever played Powered by the Apocalypse game or game system. They've always kind of like hovered around the edge of my awareness, and around the edge of the Telling Tales as a channel. I don't think we. Oh, Dungeon World Powered by the Apocalypse.
Yeah, Dungeon World is part of. That's where I know it from. I strongly recommend we get someone to put a one shot together for you, because I think you'll really enjoy it.
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah, although as previously established by every time I am a player on the channel, I am a nightmare as a player in TTRPGs. So
you really are.
I really am. And you've got that joy on Sunday, February the 18th, when we return to Death in Space, our next one-shot. We'll do some proper promo at the end, but that's coming. So look forward to that. Okay, shall we move on to Chris's first one then? Best of luck with the pronunciation, Chris. Because I'm guessing this is a Scandinavian set of words and names, and none of us are Scandinavian. So, Chris, over to you.
So this is FÄNGELSEHÅLA. This is basically struck me for just like, don't wobble your head at me. Just go spend 5 minutes learning how to pronounce one Swedish word. Oh my God. This is basically just what if your entire TTRPG is just based on the IKEA kind of system of giving you information, of instructing you. So IKEA instructions. It's absolutely gorgeous. All this art is this deceptively simple looking but incredibly complex, ultra minimal single line style, which just spoke to me immediately. It's very much rooted in kind of old school kind of mechanics, very basic. I really do love this kind of, don't think I've seen it before, this roll multiple dice and pick the highest, and that forms the outcome of your roll. And this delightful doom stack damage tracker where whoops, the stack has fallen over, you're dead kind of setup is just, it's such a good gimmick. And honestly, it could fit into a lot of different games, but it's great that it's here. Systems designed to be really easy, kind of start from the just 0 to 60 in a page and a half, and yeah, it looks really, really promising. The guy who's running it is this guy Gary Snow. He's a podcaster and has an IMDb page. But I haven't really seen what else he's connected to in the TTRPG space. It's got stretch goals. God, everyone's really going so hard on this, but on this, what is essentially a zine. But this is just, I love a good, simple concept. Give it 2 gimmicks and just put it on a boat and let it set sail. This is going to be very simple, very enjoyable, nice kind of slice them up.
Yeah, this is one that caught my eye as well. So yeah,
and me, yeah. This is like, obviously the thing that immediately leaps out is that visual design. Like it's so good. Weirdly, all the sort of kind of simplistic like images that you have here, and I'm not sure if it's just like sort of a spine design or whether it features in the gameplay or in the manual more somehow. You know what they weirdly really remind me of, and this is going to be a niche reference for everyone involved. Who here on stream or off has played Wilmot's Warehouse? There we go. Steve has. It's a simple indie video game that's about like arranging things by very simple symbolic representations of them. And it's about like the links you make in your mind between different things and how to different people each of the symbols sort of mean something different. But they're quite similar to that, and it is, yeah. I love this kind. It looks gorgeous, and like you say, that dice doom stack is genuinely wonderful.
I'm just having flashbacks to the Hell Knight one shot where everybody just kept, as soon as we had a rule where floor dice were had bad consequences, everyone was dropping the dice. It was incredible.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Like, I don't think we've ever before played a game with anything like that, and I don't think we've ever before really had people drop their dice. I mean, all of a sudden,
it was just all over the place. Like maybe once or twice in a stream sometimes. This time it was just everybody was at it. It was
literally throwing for content.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it looks like, it's got this minimal game prep, random D66 tables. Says it can be run without a Doomsayer, which is the version of Game Master. 32-page saddle stitched. A couple of these have mentioned saddle stitching. I don't know what saddle stitching is, but I imagine that means it's good. I really like the digest size as well. I hope Gary goes with this, because it says not final design, but it's a lovely final design, and I hope they go with it. It is like, oh wow, where did you get this tabletop role-playing game from the 60s from? You know what I mean? It's got very much that. This is a role-playing game that looks like you found it somewhere in your Gran's crafting box.
You say that, but it will 100% be a weird lump on your otherwise perfectly two-dimensional shelf behind you.
Well, it won't, Chris, because all those things go in my special mirror cupboard over there that looks weird because it's a reflection on a cam. So as not to interrupt the purity of my lovely shelves. But yeah, no, this looks great. And you got to imagine this is going to be pretty kid friendly as well, right? It definitely has that vibe to it.
I guess it depends on what's in the D66 tables, but yeah,
sure, yeah. I would be surprised if there are strong grim dark elements coming through in this. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know. I'd appreciate the juxtaposition. However, I think there is a certain villainy, a certain vile evilness to IKEA that this is clearly evoking.
Wow.
And also, I did note they do have the Kickstarter thing for, I believe, some kind of map or some generator system for the map. But I love the fact that they've laid the map out like one of the IKEA store maps as well. So they're paying a lot of attention, and it's working. It's the one below that, I think. But they're doing it.
Oh yes,
they're just putting a lot of work into it.
Yeah, nice. No, yeah, this looks like a winner to me. Good stuff. All right, on to my next one then. And this is one that crossed Steve's field of sapience as well. This is called The Details of Our Escape, a creative collaboration, and I may pronounce some names wrong here, I'm afraid, between game designer Tyler Crumreen, comics artist Linnea Sturt, and multidisciplinary author Renee Gladman. For a start, the art is fucking gorgeous. The Details of Our Escape is a new TTRPG from those people. Played with dominoes instead of dice, players control a caravan of over 2,000 people in search of a new home. What they're leaving and what kinds of strange and wonderful sights they encounter along their journey is up to you. Which party members continue all the way to the caravan's final destination, however, is up to fate. Optimized for 2 to 7 players without a games master. Modification and guidance are included for both solo and online play. Yeah, so something that people possibly don't know on if they watch our stuff regularly is how into weird, cerebral, slightly abstract indie TTRPGs I am, just purely because there aren't too many chances to play them on the channel. But a game I've been trying to get to the table for the channel for probably well over a year now, and so far unsuccessfully, is something that's immediately reminding me of, which is Kerebos the Crystal City, where you play people on a surreal, sort of slightly dreamlike train moving through a highly varied landscape towards a city. And you kind of don't know why you're there. You don't know what brought you here, and you kind of try and sort of piece things together through flashbacks and dreams and interactions and weirdness. But it's not meant to be a game where you find that answer. It's meant to be a game that explores like memory and emotion and things like that. And this occurred to me as being of a kind of like similar, a slightly similar vibe. I also love games that are played with something other than dice. Notoriously, some of my favorite games back from the 90s are played with nothing, or with cards, or with poker chips, or various other things. And the idea of using dominoes, yes, lovely, love that kind of stuff. The caravan style idea of it as well, with people controlling large groups of people, again, that is an idea of something that I love. I've loved like the various microscope style TTRPGs I played where you're controlling groups of people or cultures or whatever, rather than, you know, just one person. That kind of like extreme troop play sort of aspect of things. I love that. Another thing immediately evoked from me being a caravan style thing was the video game The Banner Saga, which is also something that I absolutely loved. Although very different in sort of like content and theme. But yeah, honestly, a piece of work like this will massively leap out to me. I mean, just the art alone sold this to me, to be perfectly and brutally honest. And that is something that is very common for me, where I'll just look and go, I just really want to own this because it's gorgeous. It also got a recommended thing from Dicebreaker, which is pretty sweet. So yeah, this The Details of Our Escape is my second pick. Thoughts, comments, things?
God, it's absolutely massive, isn't it? What an ambitious and big project. This is not a zine by any stretch of the imagination, but definitely a gorgeous piece of art.
I don't know, 30 to 50 page. It's a zine, isn't it? Wouldn't we say?
Just the production value is incredible, though.
Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, yeah, yeah. Zine is underselling what it looks like it'll be. Yeah, no. I get what you mean. I thought for a moment when I couldn't see you, I thought your thing was, this isn't a zine. This is a fully fledged, which is obviously not a criticism anyway. But yeah, no, it's yeah.
Yeah, the art is wonderful.
Phenomenal.
That sort of tritone, slightly dreamy, you know.
Someone, the person who does all these illustrations, whose name I will. Well, there's two illustrators on it, right? I think it said. Oh no, Comic Stars, Linnea Sturt. Apologies if I mispronounced your name. Please do the art for a board game. That's what I'm saying. Because yeah, that's plus board game for me would be really good. Anyway, yeah, further thoughts on the notions of it beyond how just great it looks?
Again, the idea of it being something other than your standard, you know, small group RPG is great. Obviously, I immediately thought of the Battlestar Galactica reboots with the fixed number of people in the convoy, and that was a kind of an ever-present, you know, a thread running through the whole thing. So yes, the idea of simultaneously of having like a scale that you just don't get in standard games, that must open up. I mean, I've never played anything like it, but that must open up some interesting.
I want to actually read out a little bit more of the how to play section here. Just because I think it sounds really interesting. A hand of dominoes is drawn at the start of each leg of the journey and then played in sequence to build a path, sometimes veering towards good things, sometimes away from bad things. Dominoes numbers inform what the caravan discovers each tile, and the active player dictates all encounters and their individual group's reactions. So I think it's like Microscope and games of that ilk. I think it's a sort of circular game. When someone runs out of playable tiles, the caravan has reached a door, literal or figurative. Pulling from knowledge gathered on your travels, players work together to unlock the door and continue. Depending on the size of your group and tiles encountered, however, your group may instead settle in the surrounding area rather than move forward. And there's a very kind of like, there's a slight kind of outsider art feel to this, in like this notion of maybe people who don't belong somewhere trying to find somewhere they do belong. And there's also a I was going to say something else. Like there's also no, I've lost it. I was going to say, just imagine something really clever and succinct, and that is what I was going to say. But yeah, I really love this. You could do so many things with it. And cover like no, go.
A great shout on the dominoes-based chance system. I think that's very underused in terms of kind of getting away from the what simple solid are we using to determine random chance today? I think that's almost inspired. That is inspired.
And using something that has sort of multiple outcomes or multiple. It's not just you roll a random number. It's the resource you're using controls a couple of different aspects that kind of either play together or in opposition. That sort of I like the way that they're using dominoes for multiple. It powers multiple things within the game at once.
Yeah, it provides a core to kind of rotate what I'm sure will be relatively simple mechanics given the nature of the game. To rotate it around. Yeah, it reminds me of, and I mean this in the best possible way. It reminds me of how everything in Hillfolk rotates around the cards and the poker chips, right? And it forges them into like a fundamental tactile part of the experience. That, like, I think obviously dice do that in other games, but I think we often take them for granted because you use dice in role playing game, right?
Do.
I hadn't even noticed, but thank you, Chris. And on that note, let's move on to Steve's second game, shall we?
What a beautiful segue. Yes, so this is the Wigmaker's Fingers. It's written by, as I pull my notes up, Lewis Colburn, and the designer and publisher is Max Moon of Max Moon Games. Now, I've recently backed another of Max Moon's projects called Abyss of Hallucinations. So this one kind of, again, immediately jumped out to me in terms of the art style and, cat, and the general sort of offbeat nature of it. And I loved the Into the Odd series that while I was watching it. But yes, the sort of the Into the Odd system, lovely random tables, off-kilter approach. It was just really fun and really sort of light and unpredictable, and I'm always happy to see more of that. So this particular project, I guess it's an adventure or a setting or something between the two. Basically, yes, the summary is everybody needs an extra finger now and again. If you're part of Bastion's upper crust, a fancy prosthetic finger is absolutely de rigueur. What's a poor wigmaker to do if he can't afford such a luxury? Well, he might stoop so low as to hire you, bold explorers, to burgle him one of these extraneous yet extremely fashionable digits. So, bit of whimsy, bit of finger stealing. There's a quick start or a sort of a preview document which fleshes out the background a little more, has some interesting random rumor tables and stuff like that. And yes, it's Into the Odd, so I'll be very happy to follow that and yes, maybe pick that one up.
Yeah, we are big fans of Into the Odd here at Telling Tales, and you could go watch our actual plays of it if you don't believe us. Yeah, the thing that immediately jumps out to me is beyond like that kind of like oh god, I think it was you who literally told me the term for that, the kind of art that Into the Odd uses, that like is either actual or a kind of intentional evocation of like essentially like 18th and 19th century clip art.
Yes.
And I can't remember the actual term for it.
I'm not. Yeah, I think we might have. I don't know whether it's the real term, like I don't know, repurposed art or found art. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the official term is.
Yeah, that kind of thing. But I love the look of that. I love what it's doing with it. The other immediate thing that leaps out to me, and like people will just have to bear with me with this because sometimes I say this to people and they go, very rarely they go, "Oh yeah, me too," and most of the time they go, "That's weird." But one of the things that immediately sells me on the visualization of something as an interesting color palette and color combinations. And all I'm saying is the cream, purple, and green thing is I love that. I love that design. Use that again. Use it 1,000 times.
I can 100% taste this book, by the way, just based on that color palette. I know it's that exact rhubarb and custard flavor boiled sweet from the 1980s. Also, like, Into the Odds has a very specific kind of whimsy that contains within itself a Python-esque sense of immediate threat, and I kind of love it. There's definitely a sense that maybe not actually, but in at least a metaphorical sense, the cutout of a giant foot will smash a whole block of Bastion land into oblivion. There's just this delightfully abstract, threatening whimsy, I think is the best way to put it.
Yeah. And the refound art actually will help enormously with that, given the whole the animations and
definite animation style line. Just to add to yet more impressive people throwing their weight behind these things, Chris McDowell, creator of Into the Odd, has a quote for this, as does Johan Noor, the graphic designer for Into the Odd Remastered, and of course the Mort Borg dude. So look at that. Do you think we could get a quote for our campaign? Who do we know? Who's the most prominent person we know?
What's this? What are you talking about? How did you get into my house?
Yeah. We'll work on that one.
Cool. Yeah. Wigmaker's Fingers looks like a great Into the Odd scene. And finally, Chris, you've got to talk about Blister Critters.
Blister Critters is lovely. I am picking this as a second choice because Matt wouldn't let me run with Dinosaur Erotica, mostly because it isn't fleshed out yet, but
mostly because it hasn't actually launched yet. Although personally, I am disappointed in you, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't let you run
it. I'd love to run it and it get like 10,000 views for some reason, and we'd have to stick to it, and it would become our most famous thing. But anyway, that's beside the point. For some reason, Blister Critters is basically Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 80s, the 90s cartoon, but kind of with elements of the comic, the kind of slightly more edgy, slightly more gnarly comic kind of brought into its aesthetic, if not its kind of setting. It's very much kind of this post-apocalyptic group of adorable scamps dashing around a abandoned urban landscape, taking out kind of mutated and more dangerous beasts than them. It's another kind of massive project with stretch goals up the wazoo and lots of stuff going on. It's got a very nice kind of deck of card-based system to help you kind of random encounter yourself through the landscape, and this art style is just wonderfully kind of. Someone was very much looking at the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comics and kind of oversaturating and reducing the color palette of the cartoon into it. It looks great.
Yeah.
And the little video, you should watch the video. Maybe not on stream because the music will probably get all taken to court and locked away in the Hague for 1,000 years for daring to play music. But do watch that little video if you're interested in it. They've done a lot of work on the animation, and it will make you reminisce, and it might even make you a little bit excited.
And can I say, I've never seen a TTRPG more suited to having, I don't know if it's an add-on or a stretch goal, but this full sheet of mutant cartoon animal stickers is delightful. What is that? It's stuff in the full box set. This is like, weirdly, we're doing this at a point in time where I don't have any money to spend on Kickstarters. So this is actually torture for me. to look at all these and go, oh my god, I want all of this stuff. But yeah, again, a great color palette, as you said, and great. I think one of the things that's really united all the stuff we've gone for is the art, right? Which goes to show that immediate visual thrill.
Look at that raccoon.
Look at the raccoon. Full of confidence.
Just made entirely of crimes.
Yes. Yeah, just wonderful. So it looks like Wythe Marshall is the person who has made this. Yeah, look at those dice as well. Look at those are Saturday morning cartoon dice if ever I've seen them. Yeah, great stuff. Looks like real kind of like knockabout stuff. There's already a little actual play.
Whimdark, I like that description. Whimdark TTRPG art and games.
Whimdark, as in whimsical.
Yes.
Whimdark. And it's an actual play that looks like they did it via StreamYard.
Shout out to StreamYard for no apparent reason.
Saying we're trailblazers. Just saying. Yeah, looks like absolutely great stuff. Great stuff. I think that's it, right? Those are our 6 games for tonight.
Yeah.
Please do let us know if you liked this. Because we are quite interested in doing this every week during the February ZineQuest event. So we'd have 3 more episodes of this if we did it. So let us know if you're interested, if it tickled your fancy. I suppose it's traditional for me to throw some promo stuff at the end here, because it's entirely possible, maybe more than any of our stuff, that you come to this and you watch it and you don't know any of our other stuff. If you check down below, there'll be a bunch of links to YouTube and to Twitch. Those are the 2 sites we generally do stuff on. There'll also be links to our social media, our Patreon, our Discord, our merch store, etc., etc., etc. We run a number of weekly campaigns, actual plays on Twitch that then end up on YouTube. At the moment, Mondays is Warhammer, Wednesdays is actually lying fallow at the moment, but then will be Blade Runner in a couple of weeks. And Thursdays alternates between the Big Wet and Wicked Ones. We also run one-shots about once a month, the next one of which, as I mentioned earlier in the stream, is Death in Space, which is happening on Sunday, February the 18th, that Chris is running, and that Steve is in, and that I am in. And Alex, but he doesn't matter. He's not here. And we also have a Kickstarter out at the moment. And we weren't not going to mention it on this. Come on. I'll talk a little bit more about it now, but it's a setting zine for Troika called The Soft, where you play in a vast, rambling pillow fort of uncertain origins, and as I've described, it's a claustrophobic world of cushioned fabric-bound weirdness and gonzo cosmic horror. It's our first time doing anything like this, so if you want to give it a look, we certainly wouldn't object. There'll probably be links around, but also you can just search for The Soft TTRPG on Kickstarter, and it'll bring it pretty straight up, almost as if it's some kind of search engine. There we go. Thanks, folks. Let us know what you think. And if you like it, we'll probably be back next Wednesday for another installment of this. Take care. Stay safe. Bye. Farewell.